Hello guys, Garcia here, and these are some quick thoughts on Knock at the Cabin, the new movie from Mr. Shyamalan. So first of all, for full disclosure, I don't love his work, like a lot of people do. He has directed some great movies, but also some really bad ones, so I never know what to expect from him, honestly. He gave to us classics like Sixth Sense and Signs, and in my opinion, underrated gems like The Village and The Visit. But he also gifted us with Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, and so on. So yeah, suffice to say, I was not expecting a whole lot from this new one. That said, I thought Knock at the Cabin was actually good. Not great or like a classic or anything like that, but a serviceable horror movie with solid acting and a mostly focused narrative, trying to make the best use possible of its unique premise. So heads up, this video will contain spoilers, so you have been warned. Let's start with what I really enjoyed. The acting was pretty good all around, in my opinion. And the obvious standout here is Dave Bautista. I've been a wrestling fan for many years, and it's always great to see a former pro wrestler become such a great actor and perform in such high level on the big screen. His performance was so good that later on in the movie, when the story tries to misdirect the spectator into believing that the four invaders might have other more nefarious reasons to be there, instead of the apocalypse preventing situation, I just didn't buy it at all, actually, because Leonard, which is Dave's character, felt so human, he felt so bothered and so conflicted about the whole thing that I 100% believed that he was doing something that he needed to, but also something that he didn't really want to do, you know? Rupert Grint is also pretty good in the movie, but he doesn't last long in the story. And the child actress is good too, and Ben Aldridge is also pretty good as Andrew. I also like the setting, just a cabin with 3 family members and 4 invaders, trying to convince each other of their respective viewpoints. It's an interesting dynamic in the days of big budget cartoon heroes movies we currently live in. So the use of the white hood as a symbol of purification on the heads of the sacrificed members was also a nice touch. Alongside their last words, a part of humanity has been judged, does add to the stakes of the movie, their plight being real or not. Now to what I didn't like in the movie, first of all, the POV camera shots are used way too much in this film. Sometimes they made sense and added a little something to the dialogues, but other times they were just, disorienting. Hey, to me, at least. The invaders accepted their fates quite easily, meaning the fact that they had to basically kill each other to move the process along. It's not that they wanted to, but apparently they were compelled to, by their visions or their destiny or some such thing. Felt way too convenient to me, the way that they just embraced it, without the huge amount of reservations a regular person would have in regards to, sacrificing oneself for some otherworldly purpose. Other than the Leonard character, you are not given enough information or frankly reasons to care about the other 3 invaders and their stories and motives to be there. And that makes their sacrifices feel emotionally hollow, at least for me. The fact that the movie tries to cast a shadow of doubt over the group, plus the kills being pretty clean for horror movie standards, only adds to the hollowness of their demises. And what about the visions, and how many there were? For how long they experienced them? Did they see God, the devil, armies of angels, or demons, and others? So they described part of their visions in the movie, but not enough to justify their zealotry. And most of them were more metaphorical descriptions of future events than necessarily step-by-step instructions on how to proceed during the pre-apocalyptic process. And what about the online borns they talked about? There's too many of these unexplored plot points in the movie, but I guess Mr. Shyamalan probably decided that most of these would probably work better if left to the audience's imagination, enhancing the mystery surrounding the 4 invaders, right? That leads me to my biggest problem with the movie, which is basically the middle of the road approach. that was used to tell the story as a whole. So if the movie had a slower pace with more character interactions and more tension building scenes in the cabin, the story would feel more personal, and the sacrifices and choices would not only impact the world as a whole, but also each individual character way harder than they did. And if the movie went the full blown apocalyptical route, even in a more biblical sense, with beasts rising from the sea and armies of angels and devils and all the craziness that would follow, that would result in a very different movie than the one we got. And the personal and limited scope of the movie would get thrown out the window, basically in favor of an insane biblical apocalypse effects extravaganza, you know? Would that be more entertaining than what we got? Who knows? But when Mr. Shyamalan tried his hand in this type of production, the results were not ideal, to say the least. My point is, I felt the movie could have gone a little bit further on either the character building side or on the apocalyptical side, but the choice was made to keep it simple, and even though I felt the movie was missing something, I can respect the choice because the movie was based in a novel, right? One last problem I had with the movie was how predictable it was. So the moment four people arrive at a cabin and start talking about visions and the apocalypse, I thought, oh, they are like the Four Horsemen, and they were. The moment the movie tries to make us believe that they could be there for other reasons, like personal revenge or bigotry, it instantly fails because a sacrifice had already been made by that point, and they never felt like criminals in the first place. The moment Eric sees the light behind Redmond during the first sacrifice, you already know he's the one that's going to get sacrificed in the end, and he was. You knew before the end that there would be an expositive monologue by one of the characters to verbalize what the audience and the characters already knew, and the monologue was delivered. And you know Mr. Shyamalan would make a cameo somewhere in the movie, and that he did. So predictability is not always bad, but I think it hurt the movie a little bit, because I imagine most people went into this movie hoping to see some supernatural and or fantastical happenings. And outside of the planes falling and the dark skies, nothing visually world-shattering occurred. And the twists that Mr. Shyamalan likes so much didn't really happen in this one. That said though, I still like the movie. It's an interesting concept explored in a more personal and restrained story with solid acting and the best performance of Dave Bautista's career. Recommended. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.